Anybody that has an eating disorder is constantly thinking about food. It literally consumes your mind. We think they're secretive eating disorders. They're actually an energetic frequency and vibration that we're portraying to the world that we're not even aware of. Planning out your meals is essential. Regular meals is really important, and they don't have to be when society tells you they need to be. Feel yuck about this. A binge eater would understand. You're literally just sitting in front of the fridge, just eating everything out of it. And then you throw all the food away because you're like, I've got to stop. And then you'll go to the bin and be like, I'm going to eat out of the bin. I can't believe I've gotten to this level. It gets that bad. Welcome, wisdom keepers, soul tribe, and new earth leaders to Soul Temple, your haven for self-discovery and growth. I'm Blythe Langford, and I am your guide to finding yourself and your true purpose. Together, let's shift from feeling stuck and misaligned to living a life of purpose and prosperity. I suffered with binge eating for probably about 30 years. It was one of the most challenging things that I've ever, I don't know if you ever overcome something, but something that I've integrated into my life. And that's why I'm really passionate about sharing more on this topic with so many people. For me, I remember, my binge eating started from being in a family where we were not allowed to leave the table unless we ate all of our food. And I was the eldest of 4 kids, and in order to protect them so they didn't get hurt and hit, I would eat not only my food, but I would eat their food as well, just so that we could get out of the war zone, because it was literally a war zone in our household every single night with this eating thing. It was awful. Our mum used to, I don't know if my siblings remember it, but I remember being tortured with food as a kid, and it was just awful. So my relationship with food really young was just not good. And, it was really weird because mum being like quite narcissistic, she'd always try and, reward us with food and then want us to eat so much food. And it was just, it was awful. It was just like a spiral out of control. And that's what really led to it being a spiral out of control my whole life. And I look back at moments in time, like in my teenage years, when I was really needing support and help, and I didn't have anybody. And that was a time where I put on a lot of weight, and I turned to my eating disorder to help me because I didn't know how to self-soothe. And my eating disorder helped me soothe myself in some way, shape or form. It helped me numb out the feelings and the pain that I was suffering with. Then when I got into my 20s and 30s, like at different times, it did come back, and it did pop up when I felt really stuck or overwhelmed or wasn't getting the nutritional content or value that I actually needed from my food. And so now, as an older woman and somebody that's studied many different diets, modalities, naturopathic nutrition, raw vegan chef, and holistic coaching and health coaching and all of the things, really finding so many stable tools that have helped me, that also help my clients with this interesting eating disorder, because it's not like you're starving yourself constantly, but you do like to starve yourself at times because, let's go into it, what binge eating actually is. Because binge eating, unlike anorexia, is a style of eating where you eat so much in one sitting, like literally just nonstop, to the point where you could vomit. And then you become so full that you might not be able to eat for a day. So it's not like you have anorexia, but there's anorexic tendencies in there as well. And of course, body dysmorphia comes along with it too. So that's how I would be. I would eat so much food, and then literally the next day when I woke up, still feel ill with the thought of even eating, and I couldn't eat any more food. So I also mentioned in a previous episode about our nervous system responses, because there is 4 main basic ones that everybody knows about: fight, fright, freeze, or fawn, but they don't know about the additional 2, which is fucking and feasting. And that's what binge eating is. It's just a nervous system response because we don't know how to be in the world. We don't know what is going on, and we fall back into this old part of ourselves that just comforts ourselves with food or is dying for external love or validation that from a caregiver that was feeding us love, like our mother or our caregiver just instead of loving on us would just feed us and feed us and feed us. So that's a little bit about that. It's about consuming large quantities of food in short periods of time. And then it's often felt with a feeling of extreme loss of control as well. Yet it's what gives us our control too. Now people can be like, oh yeah, but I eat lots of food in one period of time. It's like, okay, I'm talking about potentially eating a week's worth of food in one sitting. That's what binge eating is. People are like, oh, rightio, yeah, no, I eat big meals. Yes, it's completely different. People often do this in secret as well because they're so ashamed of feeling so out of control that they try and grasp for any sense of control in this overeating behavior. It can even get to the point where this is so vulnerable and it's like, feel yuck about this. But it generally, like a binge eater would understand. So it can even be to the point where like you're literally just sitting in front of the fridge, just eating everything out of it. And then you throw all the food away because you're like, I've got to stop and I don't know how to stop myself. And then you'll go and have a shower to help yourself feel better. And then you'll go to the bin and be like, I'm going to eat out of the bin. I can't believe I've gotten to this level. Like it gets that bad. It's horrendous. So yeah, anybody that's suffering with binge eating, I understand. And hopefully this episode will give you like quite a few tools and tips that will really help with your binge eating as well. So binge eating is a really common one for women that are in business, that are busy, that are leaders and entrepreneurs. It's extremely common because we can't be anorexic because we need to eat so that we can have our business thrive. And we generally are so controlling in our business, especially women that are in hustle mentality. Binge eating is so huge for women that are in hustle, right? So it's still we're really strong and confident in our business, yet there's this underlying uncontrollable urge within us that we're not really present with or understand completely. And binge eating is a way for us to gain control or to have greatest rapport with this younger part of ourselves that is unhealed and unintegrated. Because I know within myself and with a lot of my clients, it's when we have greatest rapport with our mum, we have the binge eating. Because when we're in our businesses, we actually have greatest rapport with our father and our father figure. So it's a way for us to create balance in our lives because we don't want to be seen as too masculine in our business, being this amazing leader who's so courageous. And people, I know they've said this to you as well. You're like, you're really masculine, you know. It's like, and you believe it at times. And then you balance it out with this overeating because you can control that and you can balance out the masculine and the feminine wounding, which is shit, right? Like it feels shit to do this, but it's an unconscious program that we do to help ourselves become back in touch with the feminine because it's awful when people tell you that you're a masculine woman when you're not. You're a fucking fierce woman leader. Like that's all it is. But there's this younger part of us that has been put down and suppressed when we were children, generally by other women, that makes us feel like we are masculine and different when we're not. We're just courageous leaders. And when people have said these things to us in our business, it does make us feel out of control. So that's why we go back home as well and we fall back into our binge eating because we feel out of control in some way. We're not completely in control of our emotions and somebody's words have literally just triggered this younger part of us that puts us into a nervous system response spiral and drops us back into binge eating. So it's really important to be aware of when we are coming into this binge eating response and realizing that it's just a younger part of ourselves that feels really unsafe and really unseen and we're acting out of our nervous system. So self-regulation can be a beautiful one for this, but we'll go into that in a little bit. Rapid eating continuously without pausing. You don't even notice yourself chewing a lot of time and you don't even notice yourself tasting the food or enjoying your food. That's another sign that you're binge eating. Emotional eating as well. So rather than dealing with what's gone on in our day. We just come home and we're using food as a coping mechanism. So to manage and alleviate our emotions. It might be stress, it might be sadness, it might be boredom. Sometimes it's even happiness and joy, like we've just got nobody to experience it with. So we fall back into our comfort spot and we go to our eating disorder because it's actually easier to be with our eating disorder than it is to celebrate ourselves with others. So it depends on your emotional past and your emotional suppression to how your binge eating will actually come out and be exposed to yourself. It's also eating beyond fullness. So what I mean by that is you know that you're already full, but your brain is telling you that you're not full. So you continually eat, tricking yourself. Like I know that my mind used to do this as well. It would trick me. It's like, no, I'm not full. I can still eat more. I can still eat more. Yet my stomach is extended so far. I can feel that the food is up to my throat. Like I literally can't get anything else in, but I'll keep on going because it's actually alleviating the suffering that I'm feeling inside or the pain or the discomfort that I'm feeling inside. And it's like this, it's almost like, I'm sure you get this too if you do have binge eating. It's like there's this entity that just takes you over that you just are not in control of. And it's like you're in there witnessing yourself just eating and eating and eating, and yet you still can't gain control of it. So it becomes like this point where it gets to the point of discomfort and pain. And then once you've finished eating and you literally cannot eat anymore, then the secrecy and shame of it as well. We shame ourselves so bad with it, like literally beat ourselves up so bad that we can't even eat the next day. Sometimes it might even be 2 days. And people are like, wow, how could you not eat for 2 days? It's like, I am so full of food, I literally cannot eat anymore. And then the embarrassment about the eating behavior and leading to the hiding food or eating alone to avoid judgment. These are all common threads of binge eating. And then the frequent dieting, because you're always extending yourself and then shrinking, extending yourself and then shrinking. So it just like you're yo-yoing all the time. So engaging in repeating cycles and restricted dieting, followed by episodes of binge eating, often feeling trapped in a cycle of deprivation and then overeating. So it's just painful a lot of the time, isn't it? And the physical signs that you can often notice is fluctuations in weight. So you'll often need different clothes sizes at home because there'll be periods where you're like a lot leaner because you've managed your eating disorder, or there'll be periods where you've really binged out because you've been through a really stressful period, and then there'll be, clothes that you need to have at home that are bigger, that you hate yourself when you have to wear them because it means you're out of control again and you've lost yourself. And then also gastrointestinal issues can often be a problem. So stomach bloating, stomach cramps, and IBS is a very common one. Fatigue and lethargy are also really common as well. And of course, the psychological impacts. So experiencing distress, low self-esteem, negative emotions, always relating to the eating disorder that you probably aren't even telling people about. And it really impacts the quality of your life and how you function on a day-to-day basis, because dealing not only with the eating disorder, but the shame of the eating disorder, and then the not wanting to go out with people, and then the nervousness of wanting to go out for dinner with your friends, but then like, am I going to eat too much? Am I going to binge? It's so tiring, isn't it? And it literally creates this preoccupation with food. So constantly thinking about food. Like I know anybody that has an eating disorder is constantly thinking about food. Like it literally consumes your mind. When am I going to be eating next? Am I going to be eating next? You'll literally be talking to somebody and all you can think about is your next meal. Is your next meal how much you're going to eat? What do you want to eat? And then every mirror that you see, you're constantly checking your body every day, or wherever there's a scale, you want to weigh yourself so that you can literally compare yourself to yourself and how you are at your smallest and your leanest, and to those around you. Am I better or worse than them? Am I right or wrong? Am I good or bad? Whatever your core wound is, it'll come up constantly as you go through and grow through your eating disorder. So triggers and patterns of binge eating are emotional eating caused by anxiety and stress, restricted eating during the day. So when you're really busy, of course, like you're in this hustle mode, you're all about work and about business and overachieving, that you literally like can't even get food in that time because it's all about the work. So of course, then what's going to happen later on at night when you're dehydrated and starving is you're going to fall back into overeating habits. And then this food can be used as a coping mechanism as well. I'm really excited to share some supportive strategies to help overcome this eating disorder, but then also some dietary tips that are also really supportive that have changed my life completely and nourish and support me so that I'm always the weight that I want to be, but from a place of health and vitality rather than from scarcity, shaming and myself and lack. So mindful eating practices are so helpful. And what I mean by this is slowing down. When you eat, chewing slower and really slowing down, watching what you're eating. And if you're in a period or if you've come through a period when you've had extreme binge eating, then really try practicing this at home as well. Start off like really doing this at home. So you're going to prepare your food out, really know what you want to eat and eating really slowly, watching the food as it's going in, cutting up your food really nice and small, chewing it a lot, swallowing it completely before you take in the next meal, the next mouthful. So really trying that. And the thing that has helped me most in my life, I always thought it was because I was a Capricorn and Capricorns are amazing at planning. But it's really amazing for other business owners and women who are in hustle mentality. We're great planners. So planning out your meals is essential. So knowing what you're going to eat for the next day, planning it out. Like as a business owner, I used to prep my meals twice a week. Even as a raw vegan, I would prep my meals twice a week. So I'd make meals for 4 days one day and then 3 days another day. I'd make my meals that I was going to have for the day so that I'd know exactly what I was going to have. Everything was organized. I didn't get into stress and overwhelm and chaos, and everything was super controlled, but meant that I could relax, because with my organization, I could relax and my nervous system would not go into a fight, fright, freeze, fawn, fuck response and try and heal me with food. So I can't express enough how important preparation is. Stress management techniques. Now, for myself and my clients, I recommend any type of exercise, all types of exercise, and meditation and breath work. So in the morning, I start off with meditation and breath work because they allow me to get out of my unconscious programming and back into my heart space and back into what it is that I'm here to do. And I know for myself that being in a space of organization and putting me back on my mission and my vision and my purpose is really important. So if you're in a heightened moment, just slow exhales. And if you're an anxious person, you can be like, Blythe, I can't even breathe when I'm anxious. Totally. Hold your breath. Just hold your breath, sweetheart. Hold your breath for as long as you can, and then slow, long exhale, and then quick breath in, hold your breath, slow, long exhale. Do that 3 times. It'll help you get back into your conscious brain, and then it will allow your nervous system to come back into its parasympathetic state, which is its rest and digest state, and you're not in your fight, fright, feasting stage. So you'll feel so much better. So slow exhales is really, really important. And incorporating self-care routines as well into your daily structures. So really allocating those times to know that your meditation, your breath work. For me, also running. Like I run every day because I can't do yoga anymore due to a disability, but I run every day and I do breath work when I run. My whole run, yes, for a complete hour, I am doing quick breaths in and slow, long exhales so that I am really realigning my nervous system and not overusing cortisol, and just realigning with grace and with gratitude and with self-regulation. Now, regular meals is really important, and they don't have to be when society tells you they need to be, because everybody are different. Some people like to eat in the morning. So then I would say have like morning and have lunch as be your biggest meal. Or if you're like an afternoon eater, and this is a really good practice for binge eaters because we like to have periods where we don't eat generally. So if you were to do that, then you'd have your like I said, your breakfast and then your lunch, and then potentially maybe, a smoothie or a drink for dinner. For myself, I love having no breakfast because sunshine is my breakfast. Listen to the previous episode about that. I love having my practices for my breakfast, and then I'll have lunch and a big dinner, like a big lunch and a big dinner. And always throughout the day when I'm ready, I'll have anywhere from 2 to 4 liters of water. So depending on what I need, how much I've done in the day. But generally, I run for an hour every single day. I also run a farm, and for me, anywhere from 2 to 4 liters is perfect, and 2 huge meals are great for me. So, see what's going to work best for you. It might be the morning meals and then some period of fasting, because I do believe that some period of fasting is really beneficial, especially for a binge eater. It allows you to still feel in control, but it also allows your body to detox anything that's coming up for you. Now, with the practicing mindful eating, focusing on eating mindfully by paying attention to hunger and fullness cues, chewing thoroughly and savoring the taste and the texture in every single bite is great, like I mentioned, but avoiding distractions. So not eating whilst you're watching TV or using your devices is so amazing, because when we're watching our device or watching TV or a program, we're not actually fully aware of us eating. And as a binge eater, you don't even know that you've actually eaten. And because you're not aware of it, your body doesn't switch on to the fact that you have actually eaten, and you'll need to eat way more. So really taking the time to turn your device off and eating that way. For me, I make my evening meal like a ritual. I'll eat outside on the balcony, like, yes, even in the middle of winter when it is freezing cold in the bush, it can get down to 0. And I have got like 10 jumpers on, 2 like thermal jackets, blankets, and I'm outside with my candle and my dog and the beautiful fairy lights that you might see on my balcony. And that's when I have my food, and I listen to nature as well and just calm my nervous system. I say a prayer before I eat, and like do my gratitudes as well, and then I eat my food. And because I'm away from the kitchen as well, I'm outside, it really allows me to tune in and slow down, and then I don't overeat as well, and I really enjoy and savor every mouthful, and I love eating with nature like that. What can also help when you're deeply in this is seeking professional help. Now, it's a really tricky one, because a lot of people will be like, yep, I'm going to go to a nutritionist. And it's like, yep, you can go to a nutritionist, and then it's actually not just a physical issue that you're dealing with. There is a lot of psychological issues that you're dealing with here. Or you can go to a psychologist, but then there's the nutritional issues that you're also going through as well. So that's why it's really important to find somebody that can deal with all of it. Now, myself being a naturopathic nutritionist, being a raw vegan chef, being, a health coach, a business coach, a life coach, a rebirthing breathwork facilitator, a trauma facilitator, all of these things means that the programs that I pop people through are specifically designed and personalized support and guidance to help people with where they're at and where they want to be, and understanding the underlying triggers that are there and the underlying behaviors that are there, and how we can incorporate them into your day and have them be your allies for success, rather than suppressing them or avoiding them or pushing them away or trying to have them be something else, because they're parts of you that aren't integrated now. You don't need to suppress them. And when we can incorporate them into our day, it's just these younger parts of us that we don't yet know how to love. And so we can learn to reparent ourselves, because we weren't parented as effectively as needed as kids. And gosh, this will change your life forever. Gosh, this will change your business forever, because we don't understand that when we are having these we think they're secretive eating disorders, that they are actually secretive, but they're actually an energetic frequency and vibration that we're portraying to the world that we're not even aware of. Everybody's aware that there's something incongruent within us. And so it's allowing ourselves to be in congruence and in integrity within ourselves, which changes not only our eating disorder, but our business, our relationships, our relationship to self, our relationship to our worth, to nature. And a tailorized plan for you and your specific needs will literally change everything and will literally help the trajectory of your life, because I know that when I was in eating disorder and when my clients come to me with eating disorders, you're like, far out, am I still in this place? Am I a 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old man or woman that still has an eating disorder? Haven't I resolved this yet? And it's really tricky because we've tried help in the past, but it hasn't been a program or a product or a retreat or an event that's been able to amalgamate all of what's necessary for you to grow through and actually understand yourself at the deepest possible layers so that you can help heal this and be the best version of yourself for the rest of your life. So I'd love you to stay really aware of your behaviors and your patterns and notice, is it in times of stress, or is it in times of anxiety, or where you feel completely out of control, or where people have disempowered you, that you fall back into these patterns of binge eating or eating disorder. And remembering that you're not alone. You don't have to do this alone. I know that, like, I've had people, like I said, that come to me in their 50s and 60s and they can't believe that they still have eating disorder, or even in their 20s and 30s. And this is something that, because I'm so passionate about it, a lot of people of my clients that come to me, this is something they're not yet mastered in as well. So this is why we really love to have, this is why it's a really important part of everything that I do, whether it be the books that I put out there or the retreats that I have or the work that I do in the programs. It's vital that everybody understands what nutrition is and how it can really be a profound benefit to your life. And if it is something that, you are struggling with and you want help with, please don't hesitate to reach out. You don't need to do this alone. It's really important that you reach out, because your body is vital. It's like your soul temple. It's the only one you get, like, you don't want to keep on hurting it or harming it. I know that. I know you know that. So this is just an invitation to find a new way. And I'm not saying that I've got all the answers, but I'm saying that I've got some answers that have helped me and helped a lot of other people. And I don't want people to suffer. It's so unnecessary in this world and in this time. There's already so much suffering that we're going through as individuals and as a species. And it's, if you can gain your power back in from this place, then you'd be unstoppable. And I know you know that. So I'm here for you when you're ready. Thank you for joining me on Soul Temple. If this episode spoke to your soul, I would love your support with a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And do not forget to subscribe on your favorite platform. But don't let your journey end here. Connect with me and my like-minded community of souls at Blythe Langford on all social platforms. I really look forward to diving deeper with you on your journey.